Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fireside Podcast for Long Island Gaming League, where casual gamers come together to relax, chat, and of course, vibe about all things gaming. Today we have yet another special guest. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? I'm Xavier. My tag is 12 Messiah on most things. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to have you here. Maybe you can let the viewers know, let the people know what exactly you do. Maybe how did we meet? And yeah,
Yeah. So pretty much, I run a esports center in New York City. Uh, pretty much you can call it an internet cafe or you can call it esports lounge. Either or works. Pretty much a gaming center that sells food and drinks and has lots of PCs and lots of consoles. And pretty dope spot. Definitely somewhere to check out. And I met you there. I met you there hanging out, just one of the casual gamers there. And then yeah, you came through for the big CS tournament we ran, and it was pretty dope. It was a good time.
yeah, it was indeed, and I completely agree. That place is amazing. If anyone has spare time in their lives and they wanna try to just have a good time, have some amazing tasty food, have some crazy spicy drinks, or just play some video games. I definitely recommend you guys to check out Brookland. It's located uh in Williamsburg, right?
No,
Basically.
it's in
Uh,
Bushwick.
oh,
Yeah,
end of the Bushwick, yeah.
yeah, on
Um,
Jefferson Street, doesn't
y-
Troutman Street.
yeah, there you go. Not so familiar with the street names. I'm
It's all
not
good.
not a very local person. But yeah, besides that, yeah, definitely go check it out. Um, so it is a internet cafe or esports lounge. What would you call it?
For me, I prefer esports lounge just because it's more about like esports overall video games. I mean, we do have the food and beverage side of everything, but we do a bunch of events. We're more of an events kind of space when it comes to it. Like we want to do more events. We've done a bunch of big events. I feel like that would more specify like an esports lounge compared to like an internet cafe where it's a cafe where you kind of just go there, you play video games. That's like all you get. Like sometimes they have like the coffee and like energy drink stuff, but we're kind of like more of that. It's a place also where you can go to watch big esports events. So like League of Legends, Counter Strike, any like big tournaments going on. Obviously overseas or there's being live stream on Twitch on a big channel. We do like big watch parties for it. So it's kind of more that kind of field.
Yeah, and it would be also a good place to actually network as well. It's
100%.
yeah, very like-minded people. A lot of competition going on as well. That is correct. So how if would you be able to answer a question like how did we evolve from having arcades to internet cafes to esports lounges now? And eventually now we're obviously talking about full stadium tournaments filled with people cheering louder or as loud as best soccer fans for the top teams, right? For
Right.
example, for Counter Strike, those fans go crazy. So do you have any idea how did we evolve? How did we get to here? How did we get so far?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I've always, again, when I grew up, it was very different. So growing up was like, video games weren't like a big thing. You couldn't get a scholarship for video games. You couldn't go to college for like specific video game. Uh, so it's very different for me. Again, I went to like underground arcades in New York City to go play like Street Fighter or like certain FPS games, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just the transformation is insane. I mean, esports has grown so much to the point where like people have literally made and still make careers out of it to this day. So it's I don't know, it's an interesting thing, but I just think that people have understood that like games are a thing in people's life that people really enjoy and like really take them away from a lot of the things going on in the world, and they just like showed that this is a really good thing for people. So especially even just like watching streamers or like any like big broadcasts stuff like that, it's just always nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird world, but it's a great world with the
Yeah.
gaming esports stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it took a while though, right? It wasn't instant.
Oh
So
no, no, it took a
yeah.
long time. Again, not in my era.
Yeah.
Were there any like big things like that?
Where you, yeah, it took a while, and the stereotypes about video games or esports are actually dwindling away. You know, you can
Right.
actually make a career or have a full-time success, even becoming a pro gamer, professional esports athlete, as someone
Yeah,
would say.
100%.
Yeah. Um. What was the first, if you can remember, what was the first game you ever played? It could be also on an arcade, obviously.
First game I ever played.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back because like my brother's the one that introduced me to like gaming like years ago. My brother's a couple years older than me. So like I grew up on like Super Nintendo kind of games. So like some of the first games I played were like the Super Mario games back in Nintendo days, or like the Zelda games back in the day where it was like a 2D platformer looking kind of game, or um yeah, stuff like that. Contra was another one, but I would say like those are kind of like the games that like I started playing. Very much so like non-competitive, very much so fun like platformer games to play, or just like fun games overall, storyline games like Zelda, but like old school.
Yeah. Like a lot of the games you mentioned are classics, obviously.
Yeah,
But yeah.
100%.
All right. What games do you play nowadays, comparing to the OG games?
Very different games compared to the OG games, but now I play a lot of games like Rivals, Marvel Rivals. I don't play Overwatch as much, but I play here and there.
Yep.
I definitely play a lot of Delta Force, which is it's a new genre. Oh, not a new genre, but it's a newer genre of games called extraction shooters that have come out that are like really, really fun once you get into the bare bones of it. So it's like good kind of game. But I also play a lot of fighting games. So I play like Street Fighter here and there. I play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate mainly. So a lot of fighting games, a lot of shooting games. Just more of my cup, kind of up my alley.
I don't stay down.
All right. Um, I was thinking maybe you could also tell us um your most favorite game of all time. It
Oh,
doesn't.
that's a.
Okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
You
I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
easy for me. My favorite game of all time for sure is always gonna be Halo. Halo is a game that I grew up playing. First game that I ever took seriously, and I always has a heart, a soft place in my heart. Even though the new ones are kind of, they're good, but they give you some work. Halo's always been the go-to for me.
Have you heard about Marathon then? 'Cause
Yes, yes, I have heard about Marathon.
And what are your what do you think?
It's a mixed thing. I've only seen very like little things about it. And again, the game is still in development. There's a lot of like people that have their like say in it, but it's a game that's not developed yet fully. There's they're showing like previews of gameplay. They gave like a open alpha. It looks good to me. I like it. I like everyone's complaining about the blockiness of it. The blockiness makes it feel like a game like Halo or like Splitgate kind of thing. So I like that kind of like art style when it comes to games. Plus, it's less graphics running on my computer, so it's even
I
better.
agree. But
But
my problem is that they hyped it so much with how it looks.
yeah, their
But
promotion team is very good at what they do. Very good at what they do.
yeah, and when I saw the initial gameplay trailer, honestly, I personally was a little bit disappointed. I just
Yeah.
don't see myself playing more than few hours. Also knowing that currently they have a system where, PvP, VE, where if you lose the game, you lose all the loot. I'm not sure if they are going to have any safety boxes or whatsoever, right?
Right.
Where you can keep your loot, but if you don't, also the fact of playing 1 to 2 months or whatever the time period, right? And then suddenly just losing all the loot of all the time spent,
Yeah, I
It's
definitely feel
just
that. I mean, that's that extraction shooter kind of like feel, but
that's
yeah,
true.
they definitely take it to an extreme that it is a little less appealing
For
to some people for sure.
casuals, I think for
Yeah,
casuals, but casuals I think is what make the player count real, you know?
100%.
Like
Casual
even
gamers take over like all the games that we play, which is a good thing, you know.
yeah, exactly. Even all the esports scenes are only successful because of one fact that casual players are watching it, you know?
Yeah,
And they're the
that's why a lot
ones,
of
yeah.
no, I was gonna say that's why a lot of players do talk about like skill-based matchmaking or just like hidden MMR stuff like that in certain games because like it strays away from like the casual players being able to just casually play with like a bunch of friends.
Yeah, exactly. Does Brookline
Yeah,
have a lot of big tournaments, or it's more like weekly style with small prize pools, or just some goodies, or
we only do like a weekly Smash tournament. That's more or less the weekly events. I mean, but I wouldn't consider some of the other events like the Pokemon TCG events that we do like on the weekly base are like a big tournament. It's more of a casual kind of tournament in a sense. Uh, the bigger tournaments are like more planned around like specific dates months in advance, so we can actually like get everything going and like kind of like promote it in the way where like people that need to fly out, say for a CS tournament, like a Valorant tournament, or even like a Marvel Rivals tournament, it gets people like that time. But like we do a lot of more casual things here and there. I would say the casual side of things are more easy to do, like the Smash tournaments. You know, we run it weekly. The turnout is either really big, really small sometimes, depending on the week and what's going on. Um, but it's definitely we definitely do like more casual things more often. We have some bigger stuff coming up very soon for sure that are in the pipeline.
what? What is it with New York that there are not that many tournaments?
A lot.
Is it just because it's not worth it for the company, because it's not profitable, or because I've tried to find tournaments in New York for a while, and it is mostly like weekly style tournaments, like casual ones. You rarely see like big tournaments, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
like the biggest tournament that I've seen, it is the CS one you guys had, because the prize pool and the reward was crazy. Like you get qualified to Dubai, you get a free flight to Dubai, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you automatically earn 30K for the team just because of the prize pool of the main tournament.
Right.
So
Um,
how does this happen, and why this happens rarely?
I would say honestly, it's more or less the obviously the funding is a hard part of it and finding like a good location overall, but just like having like somebody wants to run a tournament, but they're just like we don't have a team, we don't have this, or spot, and like a lot of it is sponsors. Obviously, you have sponsors that fund the tournament. Like the CS tournament was sponsored by these guys that run a paintball company or
Laser
laser
tag.
tag company.
Hmm.
Yeah, out in New Jersey. They came out here and funded a lot of it. They're the reason why we had such a big prize pool. And obviously, people that came in and played, obviously funded some stuff too. It's just harder in New York, I think, to run a big tournament because you need, a bunch of equipment that costs a lot of money. You need a team that's going to run it behind them. You need people that are going to fund, the team that's going to run it and like funding prize pool. I mean, obviously, some of the prize pool does come from like entry fees and like people playing like in Smash tournaments. They pay $20 to get in. 10 of that goes to the venue. The other 10 goes to the prize pool, and you have enough people that enter. It's like pretty much self-funded by that.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to run big tournaments, especially in New York where, things are expensive, like renting out a LAN center or renting out an open like space that's just a vacant spot that you want to be like, oh, I have a bunch of monitors, I want to put it in here, but I got to rent the spot out. And that spot's going to be very expensive to rent out. That's why you have like dedicated places like, people play Overwatch or they play like Valorant tournaments in these giant stadiums that are made for specifically that. So it's just, I feel like it's just harder to get like the funding to make a giant tournament. Also, you just have to have like something that people want to appeal to. So like Call of Duty is another one. I can talk about this because it already got announced via Twitter. But we're going to be running a big Call of Duty tournament very soon.
Damn, nice.
So it's like a 4v4. You know, obviously Call of Duty is 4v4. It's a little easier, but you know, that's already planned for like 2 months in advance. So now that we're doing everything, now we get the chance to get like the funding for, you know, sponsors or X, Y, and Z, getting all the players to fly out. You know, it takes a lot more than just kind of just posting and saying, we're gonna run a tournament tomorrow, come by. You know.
Yeah, it because it's a illusion of New York or New York City in to be specific, that there's so many people, and surely you can get customers and viewers and interest, but the people are so diverse in this city or state, whatever, right?
Right.
Majority are not really into gaming or these specific games, so even though it feels like the city is packed or whatsoever, but yeah, I think it's one of the reasons also. Same fact, like a lot of competitive games, like Dota or CS, they're not really played that much in North America, in
No.
USA. Like as an example, like when I go to Brooklyn, I see Dota CS players. They always are some like Eastern European or Russian type guys,
Right.
right? I mean, I guess it's a cultural thing, but again, that's another reason. So hopefully with these new games like Marvel Rivals, which I think does have a lot of potential, my only issue is the spectator mode. And
Right.
and I still think they need to repolish the game because like Overwatch just feels and looks better, and I don't know what it is, but that's me. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I think that game can connect people together and bring people for viewership, even though it does not seem to be true because of Twitch viewership. They have big casual or the big streamer viewers, but when the tournament is streamed, they barely get 2 to 3 thousand viewers on their main championship streams.
Right.
So that's an issue for a esports game. But yeah,
Yeah. 100%.
um,
Definitely like the esports scene too. When it comes to like these like smaller events, they're like they're like healthy for the community because it gives a lot of casual players a chance to play, because a lot of these bigger tournaments like big Call of Duty tournaments or Marvel Rivals tournaments that are announced ahead of time, you got a lot of people that want to come out from like out of state, or like people that just like play the game that are, you know, in Celestial or something else, and like a regular gold and silver player was not gonna have a great time in some tournaments like that. But the more casual kind of like definitely helps out.
yeah, and I mean, depends on the business model or the business itself, but you rarely, yeah, you rarely see. Unless it's like top pro level tournament, you rarely see any successful results when it comes specifically down to viewership or
Right.
the stats, you know. So
Right.
yeah, I see it as a smart move to focus on the casual tournaments. Um, oh, maybe you can tell us a story, a crazy story possibly from Brooklyn or any gaming event you have participated. If
Crazy wise in the sense of like in like like
it
we're
can
how
be
crazy we're talking.
anything, like yeah, nothing too crazy,
Right.
but
Right.
but yeah, so just something spicy, I guess.
I mean, I guess the not crazy in a sense, but and this is something I genuinely like love, and this is the love of the sport in the game. Call of Duty gets crazy. You know, there's people that in the Call of Duty scene. Obviously, you know, Call of Duty is a big smack talking kind of like field that people like. Definitely, definitely will win a match and start screaming at you. So one of the Call of Duty tournaments we've had not long ago. This is maybe a couple years ago, actually, like a year or two ago. But you know, we had a dude literally just like scream, you know, that SpongeBob meme, "I need it," like scream that, and then just rip his shirt off and just continue to play the game. Like that's like not super crazy, but it's like crazy enough that like, oh, somebody just popped off that hard. I mean, obviously there's gotten crazier stuff for like people get into arguments and like bigger like violent stuff, but like that's like not cool in this the game. But like I don't know.
Nah.
Besides that, like you have like others like watching like Smash events and whatever, like crazy, like disappointments when somebody's like, oh, this person's not gonna win or this team's not gonna win in this specific game, and then like you see them go nuts and like pop off and go crazy, and like the crowd's like nuts. That the adrenaline from the crowd is like kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't say anything like too nuts that ever happened at like one of these big events.
I've heard like on the CS tournament there were drunk people.
Oh
doing-
yeah. See, I didn't want to
doing-
get that crazy, but yeah. No,
Yeah.
there was definitely a guy that got a little out of hand with his alcohol, and he just didn't know how to control it. So sadly the man had to get removed out of the venue. But that's just I don't think he got more upset about the game. I think he just didn't know what was actually going on in reality at that point.
That's what I'm thinking, because at the end of the day, it is the alcohol. That's why I wanted to ask if the guy that ripped the shirt, was he under the influence? Assuming.
No, I think that
No,
guy
it's
was just hype off pure
hype off.
dopamine, just pure
Okay.
adrenaline.
The natural stuff.
Yeah. College, again, growing up in like the MOG era and like playing Halo competitively, like that's the stuff I enjoy, where people like scream at you and like kind of like pretty much just like shit talk to you, and like kind of just like for the fun, for the love of the sport. It's less of like they're getting personal with it, but it's because of the game. They get crazy. Like that's fun stuff, and I like that. The alcohol stuff is a little different, but I will say, CS is one of those communities that they drink a fair amount of alcohol, and I understand, because I mean when I went to DreamHack Dallas last year, the CS where they were playing CS at in the stadium was the only place they sold alcohol, which is even funnier.
Oh.
But yeah, when it comes to like alcohol and gaming, it's very different. But like it could get pretty nuts, especially when you have a venue that has and serves alcohol for you.
Yeah,
It never gets like out of hand. I think that one situation that you mentioned was like probably one of the crazier ones that happened during like an esports event. Besides like anybody just like passing out or getting way too drunk and like throwing up. That's like just them drinking too much.
I love the esports trend on the big events where pros basically chug the beer, right, and then they create like these big long tower. That's for CS specifically, but yeah, they make like they put the empty cups together, and then they
Yeah.
make like a big snake out of it, like a very long from A to B.
Yeah, it's really funny because people do that at Brookline too, and they're drinking. They just like get the canned beers and they just keep like stacking them up and making like just like a whatever
Yep,
shape.
it's pretty sick. Is there a lot of problems working or having to manage, or having a esports lounge to take care of?
Yeah, I mean, there's always problems. I mean, especially when you work in tech, there's like a lot of issues with like internet or like computers giving out. I mean, computers are machines that you got to take care of. So like eventually having a LAN center for 4 years now, some PCs will give out, some PCs need to be refixed. So like the big issues are like not being able to not allowing everyone that walks in to like want to play. Like people come in and we're like, oh, I'm sorry, we're full. Mind we have 30, 40 PCs available and like they're already full. It's like, damn, you want to appeal to like everyone, especially with consoles and stuff like that. Tech issues too, you can always run tech issues, especially when it comes to like audio and like video or like any streams we do like tournament wise. It's there's definitely a lot of issues, but like these are issues that are like always fixable. Take a little bit of time sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's never like anything crazy. There are definitely like a lot of issues though, and like you just need a good team behind you that can help you with a lot of things. Luckily I have a great team behind me when it comes to like any tech issues. I have a great team, people that know what they're doing when it comes to like audio and like OBS things or like internet issues, because a lot of these things I'm learning myself.
No.
I used to be a streamer for a while. I used to do a bunch of other things, so I know like the bare bone basics of like running like streams and doing whatnot. But like there's such a like I've learned that there's a different realm of like production and like doing esports events or just running an esports venue, that you just have to like unlock so many different paths of like there's the simplicity of like doing like tech stuff, and then it's like wow, you have to like really know what you're doing to like understand what things mean.
Yeah, 100%. Especially if you try to do things to perfection, or close
Right.
to it, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, but I can vouch for you guys though. Every time I've been there, I've had a great experience. I've never had really any issues. I've only had good memories. Depends on the time.
Hmm.
Nowadays it's a little bit rougher. Also did find out I'm having a second kid, so that's that, and I need to work more, so I can't
So
be
that.
go, yeah, so I can't be going. But that place makes me feel like it's a safe haven. Always go there when I'm down, which is kind of not nice to other people if I come in like that being down, and then giving the energy to other people. But that's why I sit down and play my games and don't bother anyone. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that place is amazing. Like I said, I definitely recommend anyone from all the places I've been. You guys are, I think, the coolest. There is another one that is very close to the sound atmosphere, etc. It's the OS NYC. You
Yeah, yeah.
probably,
OS is a
yeah,
great spot too.
yeah.
That's one of the first places that I went with a bunch of my friends, because this is obviously before, because OS has been open longer. Brookline opened up like 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. OS has been open way longer, but they obviously closed for a bit during COVID, as much as other places did. But OS is a great spot. Owner there is great. Shout out to Sam. Sam is great. Yeah, it's a great spot. They have good cocktails, good food. They recently started doing food, and they also have a nice experience. They have like a little stage and stuff. It's a dope vibe. I've never had any issue with them. I know people there, and like they've always been great vibes.
Yeah, I've been there once and I really, really did enjoy it. I just don't go to Manhattan as much, and I'm
Same,
from Brooklyn, so you
same.
guys are the choice for me, and that's why I think you guys are the king of the BK, and OS are the kings of the city, I guess.
Yeah, I will say we have the bigger land center, so some
Yeah,
people say
yeah.
bigger is better, so it
Yeah,
works out.
yeah. That is a fact. That is a fact. Um, have you ever guys collaborated on a tournament or thought about it, or you guys have no connection between the two companies, the
Oh,
businesses,
like you mean like a OS versus Brookline kind of thing?
or OSX Brooklyn, like a together tournament versus each other, or tournament together? You could make a tournament versus each other, like choose 3 games and choose
Yeah.
players, and and see what's up.
Yeah, we
But
definitely talked about that a few times.
okay.
It's never been in the works or anything, but we definitely like mentioned it. When it was funny enough that we mentioned it like recently, like I guess I say recently, but it wasn't that recent. Uh, maybe like a year or so ago. Whenever Pal World came out that game,
Oh
we
yeah.
wanted to like make a server and have like both sides of like OS and Brooklyn make their own little like village, and then like kind of play off that, and kind of like like if you're playing Rust and you guys open up a world and you guys only playing with each other, and then OS has their own little base, and then Brookline has their own base, and we go out like that. But we've never like done anything crazy. I'm hoping one day we will. It'd be really fun to just have like a casual day, but it's also hard because like both establishments are open 7 days a week. We all work. I'm there a lot of the time at my job, so to coordination of that is the hard part, to get everyone involved. If
Yeah.
God willing, one day that both lounges are shut down for the day because of we're doing maintenance work or something like that, then we can definitely have something going crazy. But yeah, it's just harder when everyone's working.
Yeah, it's not only 2 people you have to schedule
Right, you
with
want to get everyone
exactly.
involved.
And
But
we're
yeah, it's
not
definitely something to look at.
yeah, we're not 20-year old no more, where we
Right,
can just
right,
play games and do whatever we want. Good old
right.
times. But yeah, hopefully, guys, you do something with each other. Even though you guys are competitors, you know, working with each other can only just it can just like help, you know, like
Yeah, for
or
sure.
yeah, collabs are nice. Oh wow, I got all right. Um, let me see. I did want to ask if there are any big events planned maybe for Brooklyn, or maybe you can recommend any big events happening in New York when it comes to video games or esports.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, we have a big Call of Duty tournament
Mm-hmm.
happening in July. I believe it's like July 17th. I think it might be like a 1 or 2 day event, depending on the outcome. More details on Twitter. I'm sure Brookline got tagged in it. I know somebody else, the person that's actually like hosting it, posted it. Forgot their Twitter handle, but it's definitely a tournament happening in July that speak all Call of Duty. Besides that, we have like maybe again the Smash tournaments. I always recommend. Again, me and my team majority run it every weekend. So it's always a good time, good vibes. You know, it's never a long tournament that you're there for 20 hours and you're struggling. It's always a good time, good vibes. People get to play with each other. You know, so I always recommend those. Besides anything crazy big happening, not entirely like set in stone. So we're still working on some big events. Hopefully, hopefully we can work on that Mar Rival stuff. Mar Rival is another one that's pretty hard because it's yeah, it's longer games, bigger team. 6v6 is a little more hard to. That's the one thing too is like 6v6 for a lot of tournaments are a little less ideal compared to like 4v4s and 5v5s for a lot of places because it's easier. Like we run
Yeah,
big Splatoon events and they use the entire LAN center, but it's perfect because they're all 4v4 kind of thing. Um,
I can see
so
that.
yeah, that's another one too. If people play Splatoon, I'm not a big Splatoon person, but if people play Splatoon, we've always run like big tournaments that are called like the Big Dapple. They're pretty well known when it comes to if you play the game. But we just finished doing one with them, so I'm pretty sure the next one's in the works for another couple months. But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know personally of anything crazy going on besides like our casual events. Like Brooklyn has again the Smash events and like the Pokemon events here and there, and then we do like karaoke here and there. It's not really esports, but it's an event happening. Uh, but yeah,
How do people find about these events? If because if they're not on your website, how am I supposed to? How is my friend supposed to know? You know,
when
if
it comes
that
to
makes sense.
like the big events, we definitely like tend to get them on the website. When it comes to the more casual events, like I said, like karaoke or like the Pokemon one is on the website. I think it's in the event side of it, but most of the time we do like Eventbrites. Most of the time we do like Twitter posts, Discord. Discord's a big one that we use a lot. You know, I know it's a little harder because not everyone in the world knows how to use Discord or has a Discord, but like Discord's a big one. Uh, Twitter's another one. Like I said, we do post whenever big events. Uh,
What
yeah,
about it?
that's more where you can find about that's more like those events and stuff like that. The Discord is probably going to be the bigger and better one because that's when
Mm.
you get any notifications about any events happening.
But are there any news outlets for gaming you guys post on? Possibly some gaming Reddit uh, pages? Because I'm just curious, how does one person reach and find out about the tournament if they have not followed you or know of your website or even of Brooklyn? As an example, it can be anything, right? It can be OS, Brooklyn, whatever. It just I'm assuming that's what I did. I typed in Google esports tournaments NYC, and that's how I found about actually the CES when I saw that it's or was it another tournament? But I think one of the tournaments I found through Google that was made by you as an example, right? But
Right.
I I was following prior, so I'm just curious how does completely new person find out about these tournaments?
I'm sure there's like a newsletter somewhere, like a Reddit, or for when it comes to like those kind of things, it's more or less on my end of the establishment. So I don't like post or like write any of the stuff on like if we'd have like a Reddit or if we post any of the newsletters for like the events. I know the owner does post a lot about this stuff, and he does like send out like emails if you're probably like a mailing list stuff like that. Uh, yeah, I'm not like super knowledgeable of where like the certain things get posted besides the ones that I already know of, like Discord and like Twitter or like Instagram and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I'm just curious because one of the reasons why I'm asking is because there's so many people to reach in New York. It's just that question is how do you reach them, you know?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, um, we are closing up for today. I do have a final question or two left for
Yeah.
you, and I'll start with one of them being if there was any character you could be friends with, who would it be? Anyone from the video game industry? A playable, non-playable character, I mean NPC.
Uh, I mean, it would have to. I'm honestly like, I'm just gonna go back to the roots, like I said, with my favorite game, just like Master Chief. Master
Okay.
Chief seems like a homie. He can hold it down for you. He got skills. You know, he can protect you. But he seems like he's just a homie. You can just like kick back and just have a beer with. You know.
I see that. I would go what I said last episode. I would go with Hulk, man. You would have a personal bodyguard. He could be on his shoulder and jump around the city. You could ask him for business ideas because he can just turn to Banner, right?
Yeah.
And be your big brain. So yeah, I would go for Hulk. Hulk is like
Yeah.
very
Uh,
diverse with his capabilities.
yeah, I see that. Just don't get him angry. You know, he might turn on you
That
for a second, but
yeah, well
that's where it backfires.
that is I mean the high risk high reward I guess.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the last question then would be, what game would you what game would you revive if that was, for example, if instead of Marathon, Bungie said, "Yo, Messiah, can you please give us an idea for a cool game?" And it could be any game, or it can be just that old game that's revived. But which one would you go for when we're talking about 2025? Because we're a little bit more of a older age, you know, we're
Right.
getting
Right.
closer to boomers, not the Gen
Yeah.
Zers.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. Obviously,
I
take your
mean,
time if you need.
I have one in mind. It's a game that I grew up. This is one of my, like, if it wasn't like Halo and stuff like that to remake, there's one specific game that I religiously played that not a lot of people know about, and it was more because I love the multiplayer aspect. It was very simple. You know, there's two sides. You know, two teams. It was like a 2v2, 3v3 sometimes, I believe. It's a game called Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Oh,
Very old game. Uh, but I think the multiplayer for that game was, in my opinion, simple but amazing because you just had, you know, mercenaries versus spies kind of thing, and like the spies had to go around the map, obviously being sneaky, doing X, Y, and Z. There was no like actual like killing in the game if you were a spy. Well, I guess you could, but you get responded, like, you respawn or whatever. But like, I don't know, very simple concept where the spies had a mission, the mercenaries had a mission. They had like cool gadgets and all this other crazy stuff, and you can get really cheeky with it and like have crazy setups with like how you play as a spy or how you play as this. That game just like took my life for so many years, and I don't know, that's one of the games that you don't see Splinter Cell games like that anymore. The only Tom Clancy games you get now is like Rainbow Six Siege, which I love. Rainbow Six Siege, I played it very competitively for a long time, but you know, it's just there's nothing that feeds that itch of what I used to have in like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
okay, fair enough. I mean, hey, dreams come true and sky is limitless. You know,
Yeah.
if you're in the gaming industry, you know, you can always make games. Same with the StarCraft, by the way. I don't know if you heard, they are gonna they're gonna release StarCraft licensing. So you will expect all these South Korean companies, Krafton, Netmarble, whoever, they're gonna pick up and start making StarCraft games. Someone's already
Yeah.
making a StarCraft shooter, which is actually Blizzard. They're making StarCraft shooter themselves. And yeah, you can always contact and buy a license if you have an idea and you think it can be if it can be successful. You can always go for it. You know,
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
everything's possible. Yeah, yeah, everything's possible. Um, yeah. What game did they did? Oh, they're doing it with the gun duels. You know the gun duels game? It's like a
Like
crazy.
the Gundams?
No, no, not Gundams. It's actually Guns Duel. It's like a Korean game. It was very
Okay.
big, old game, very OG game. You can check it out after the interview. And they're remaking as well, and it's a different company. And what they're doing is they're just redesigning it a little bit more modern with the looks and maybe adding some stuff. And that's it, you know? That's the thing. It's just they think that game is gonna pop off, and it's like a 20-year-old game, right?
Right.
But still, it was so cool that people really believe. Um, you know what I'm saying? They can
Yeah.
actually succeed. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel that. Another game they need to bring back is GoldenEye. Doubles. Uh, uh, damn. Why am I blank on it? 007. GoldenEye. I don't know if you ever played that for like
I
the
have not.
64.
I have not. I'm gonna check it
Very
out.
old school. Like we obviously back in 64 days, you only had couch play, but like playing fourth player split screen with your friends, like it was so fun. It was just an arena shooter, but that was like old school arena shooter. Not
Yeah.
crazy.
All right. Um, Thank you very much for being here, Messiah. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Hope the viewers enjoyed it. Maybe before we both leave, you have final words. Maybe you want to give a shout out, or maybe you just want to provide your socials so people can give you a follow.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. First of all, yeah. If you want to follow me, my thing is all across platforms. 12G underscore Messiah or 12G Messiah on most everything. Yes. Shout out to like 12G. This is a company that me and my friends own. That we like esports production company that we do a bunch of stuff. So if you ever want an event or you want to do anything crazy, hit us up at 12g.gg, which is the website. Everything's provided there for all that stuff. Um, yeah. Besides that, shout out to everyone watching, hanging out, and shout out to the esports industry. We love it.
Yes, we indeed do. Thank you once again, man, and see you probably soon
Yeah,
at the
you know where to find
Brooklyn.
me.
Yeah. Take care.